Do you want to explore classics, but you are a bit confused what and how to read those classics? Hi there, I'm Mehdi. Welcome to my channel, and I'm here to talk about classics. First of all, let me tell you that I am not an expert in the field of classics. Okay, I'm also a beginner, and I'm also in the process of reading more and more classics, exploring them. But yeah, I have read quite a lot of classics, and I have some idea like how you can read them because reading classics is so different from other novels. It's not that easy, and a lot of people gave up after so many attempts. Initially, when I was reading classics, I was fucked up after 15 to 20 pages because it's so difficult when in especially in terms of language. And it's fact, like initially when I was reading classics, it was problematic. Like it was quite tough for me to get those languages and the way it has been written. But yeah, in today's video, I'm going to talk about some great classics that you can read and how to read those classics because there are some tips that you can follow while reading those classics that will be helpful for you to understand them. So before going to talk about some great classics, let me give you some tips so that you can read those classics and interpret them better. Like as I said, when it comes to classics, it is quite problematic to get into those books, but let me tell you, once you know how to read classics, you're gonna fucking love it. So the first tip I'm gonna share is do your own research of the background of the novel before going to read it. Okay, spend some time researching on the time period of the novel that you have chosen. It might, help you to get some context of the social issues and customs of the novel. Yeah, it will be helpful. Second tip is read the summary of the novel. Okay, it's not like I'm telling you to read the entire detailed summary of the novel. I'm telling you to read the basic plot. Okay, it will help you to understand the overview of the novel. Like while you are reading the actual text, it will help you to get those things. If you already know the basic plot of the book. The last and third tip is don't watch movies. Okay, I find a lot of people saying this thing that before reading a classic, do watch the movie adaptation of that classic. And believe me, this is gonna ruin your reading experience. Like I'm saying this for my personal experience. Don't do that. It will completely destroy your reading experience. Like if you have already watched the movie, and then what's the point of reading the book? I myself have applied these things, but it was a mess, and it destroyed my experience. But again, this is my point of view. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I think. So finally, it's time to talk about some great classics. In today's video, I'm going to share some great classics from all over the world. Okay, I'm going to talk about classics from different ages, from different genres, from different countries. And the books I'm going to share are not only for the beginners, they are also for you know, the actual readers. Okay, those who read a lot. And I have already talked about some easy classics in my previous video. If you haven't watched that video, I'm going to share the link in my description box. Okay, so let's get started. So the first classic I'm going to share in this video is the most famous and universally acknowledged and my personal favorite, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, published in 1813. This is so popular, like almost everyone is talking about this book, and I have shared this because I start my classic journey with this book only. This book has been sold over 20 million copies. It's a romantic novel, and if you're a beginner, then you can definitely start with this only. By the way, this edition is not so good. I mean, it was a part of my course syllabi, but I'll share the link of the other edition which are really good in my description box. Second book I'm going to share is To Killing a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. It was published in 1960. The book is written in the perspective of 6 years old Miss Finch, and this is the best book to start with. Seriously, like I mean, it is the best book if you're a beginner or you want to start classic, then go for this book. And even after written so many years ago, now this book is still somehow relevant with the present generation, and I find it so relevant with my personal life, and I loved it. Third book I'm going to share is Hard Times by Charles Dickens. This is the second Charles Dickens novel which I have read, and I enjoyed it. First of all, this is not for beginners. I mean, it's a Victorian novel, so this is quite tough to read. So you don't start with this if you're a beginner. So coming back to this novel, this book is known as his most carefully constructed novel, Charles Dickens' most carefully constructed novel, and the most popular as well. And it talks about so many issues, from Victorian age, as it is from Victorian age. It's talk about equality, it's about poor and upper class, lower class, industrialization, and so-called difference between emotion and fact, and so on. So if you want to explore Victorian novels, then definitely go for this. The fourth book I'm going to share is The Women in White by Wilkie Collins. This is also a Victorian novel. And if you want to explore suspense classics and mistaken identity, multiple secrets, mystery novel, then go for this book. The only drawback of this book is this is fucking fat, and this is not for those readers, those who love those who hate fat books. I personally love fat books. So if you love fat books, this is only for you. Okay, if you don't like fat books, then this might be boring for you. The next book I'm going to share is A Tale of Mystery and Imagination by Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe is an American writer, and he's well known for his science fiction genre. His novel has some gothic background, and that is the best part about this book. Well, this book contains 28 short stories by Edgar Allan Poe, and it has some weird gothic elements which are so amazing. By the way, this edition has 28 short stories, and it like some of the great short stories are missing, sadly. I'll share the link of other edition. You can buy them, and if you love short stories which have gothic background, then definitely go for it. This book I'm going to share is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. This is my personal favorite. So, Leo Tolstoy was born in Russia, and he's so famous for his paradoxical persona and moralistic views. So, if you want to explore Russian classic, then go for this book. Anna Karenina is so famous when it comes to Russian classic. The story is so good. This book is quite fat. If you love fat books, then this is only for you. Go for this book. So, this book is about Anna Karenina, a very high class woman falls in love with Vronsky. She is married with Karenin, and she got pregnant with Vronsky, and she elopes with him, leaving her son and husband. And later in the story, we find how her possessiveness for Vronsky and society, will become the reason of her depression. And I'll not give you a spoiler. So go for this book. The next book I'm gonna share is my personal favorite, Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence. It's a modern novel, by the way. This it's a fine book about love, emotion, sex, joy, myth, mystery, and it has Oedipus complex. Okay, those who don't know what is Oedipus complex is a scientific concept, psychological concept, which talk about a baby child's sexual attraction towards his mother. Okay, it sounds quite weird. You can search in Google in detail. This is quite interesting as well. Okay, so basically this novel is about a very complex relationship between mother and her son. It's about mother's overly affectionate attitude towards her son, and how the attitude of her mother somehow affects his personal life with his lovers and mistresses. So yeah, it's a great book. You're gonna love it. The next book I'm gonna share is Mrs. Dalvi by Virginia Ulf. First of all, this is not for beginners. This is not at all for beginners, and it's a modern novel and the first book by Virginia Woolf which I have read. And let me tell you, this is masterpiece. Okay, this book is written in the style of stream of consciousness and told through shifting perspectives. I still remember, give up this book after so many attempts. I have read these books for more than 2 and 3 times, and still I have some doubts. So basically, in this book, Ulf is trying to capture the continuous flow of thoughts in a human mind. Okay, and that's the main part. That's the main part. And once you understand Clarissa's mind, how her thoughts are shifting from past to present, and how her mind is working, you're gonna fucking love it. Just you have to understand Clarissa's mind, how her mind is working. So this is about Clarissa Dalloway, a middle-aged woman, and it's a story about one day when she is going to give a party in evening. The next book I'm going to share is Lord of the Flies by William Godling. This is my personal favorite and one of the most famous classic of the field of literature. So this book is about a group of boys stuck in an island, and for their survival they have to make laws in society. and finally they end up with making two groups. One is savage and one is civilized. Okay, so I find it quite disturbing, but the book is amazing with its concept. The meanings are so depth. It's an allegory, by the way. Just read this book. It's a classic tale of survival. There are so many concepts and deep meanings that you need to discover while reading. The classic tale of human being, like, it will make you realize, make you feel what would happen if we are left with no rules, no government, no restrictions. There are no rules. Next book I'm going to share is Test of the Double Wilds by Thomas Hardy. This is the second book by him which I've read. It's a Victorian novel, and if you want to explore Victorian novel, then go for this. It's basically a satire on the hypocrisies and social conventions of Victorian rural world. So yeah, go for this book. Last but not the least, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, published in 1869. It's a book of joy. It's a nice and simple read. The book is quite like thick, but I loved it. The book is divided into two parts. It's about March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beg, and Amy. I think, yeah, I forgot the name. Four sisters, and there are movies available in this like adaptation of from this book. So yeah, I liked it. The book is divided into two parts. The first part is about their sisters waiting for their father return from war. The second book is about their lives after 3 years. Yeah, so it's a good read, nice read. Again, a very great classic. It's a thick book, and if you love thick book, then go for this book. So these are the books which I've been talking about, and let me tell you that there are so many other books which are available out there, and they are amazing classics. Some of them which I myself want to read them, like War and Peace and other Russian literature books. So yeah, so that's all for today's video. I hope you liked the video, and please give a thumbs up if you liked the video. Comment me what's your favorite classic and what's you gonna read in near future, and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update.